Halloween is just 1 week away, so I thought I would create a spooky graphic, and today I'm going to show you exactly how you can do the same. Hello my friends, Rob here from Button Press Graphics, and today I'm going to be showing you how to create this cute little ghost, and I am going to make it very simple so anyone will be able to follow along. So without further ado, let's get into it. Now to begin with, we are going to start with the, well, body-ish? I don't know what, we're going to start with the overall shape. I don't know if you'd call it a body, but for that we are going to start with a simple circle. So come over to the left toolbar, select the ellipses tool, and then hold shift and control to create a circle. So mine is still very opaque because of the settings of my last project, so I'm just going to open the fill and stroke menu. And if you haven't got the fill and stroke menu opened up on the right hand side, you can find it right here on the top toolbar. Click that and this window will open, and then you can tweak the opacity to your liking. Now I am going to have it at around 50% because I think working with shapes that have 50% opacity normally work really well because you can see all the different shapes underneath the ones you're working with. Now, using the select tool, I am just going to lower the size a little bit and then drag that up in the middle. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that snapping is turned on. Now if we select the canvas to deselect everything and come to our rectangles tool, we can select with the snapping the left side of the circle and click and drag to the right side, and then come down to make sure we've got a rectangular shape, kind of like this. Now one issue you may come in contact with is if we zoom in, as you can see it's very neat on one side, but it might not be neat on the other. There are two ways you can remedy this. You can use this little handle here and snapping to make sure it snaps on to the outside edge like so, or you can come up to the properties toolbar at the top, and where you see W and H, that is width and height. So you could just highlight, then Control and V to copy it, then select the circle and make sure that it's exactly the same. Next we are going to use the select tool and select both shapes, and then we're going to go to Path, Union. Now we are going to use something that I like to use quite a lot, but you might not be aware that it's an option. If you come to the node tool with it selected, you can then come up to the corners LPT, which is right here. That is a shortcut to one of the path effects, and what it will do is it will make these little green circles appear near every single curve and corner, and then if you select the bottom two nodes, so this one and this one, now you can move up and down to curve each of the corners. Now what I want to do is I want to leave it around there. Once you have got all the edits done that you want to do, you come up to Path, Object to Path, and there you go. That's finalized your selection. Next we are going to create another rectangle, but this time we're going to make sure it's curved. So we're going to pull it down around this much. I think that will be about right. And then we're going to use this little circle handle at the top right corner, and we're going to make them slightly curved. Again, come to Path, Object to Path to finalize your selection. Now with this selected, we can go to our select tool, drag it down near the bottom, and what I am going to do while I am still clicking and dragging, I am going to come to the bottom, press the space bar, and that's going to stamp a copy right there for me. And then I'm going to put that one around there, and I'm going to do the last one about there, but this time I won't press spacebar. I will just let go of the left click instead. So now we've got 3 different shapes here, and we are going to combine all of these together. So if we click and we drag over everything to select it all, we can then come to Path, Union, and now we have our ghost shape. Now the next step is very simple. We are going to right click, duplicate, and then with the duplicated copy we are going to turn the fill color off by selecting the X in the bottom left corner, and then hold shift and press the black. What that has done is given the top shape an outline with no fill color, and now we can go to our fill and stroke menu on the right hand side, go to the sub tab of stroke style, and then we can increase the stroke width until we get it nice and thick. Now just so you can see, I'm going to select the shape underneath. I'm going to change the color, and now if I zoom in, because of the opacity you can still see the shape through the center, but if we was to turn the opacity up on both of the shapes, you can see it makes a very neat distinct line. Now just to confirm, it is easier to have a stroke style which has been rounded up. So if you want to make sure that your stroke styles are always very neat, then make sure you round it up to an even number. So I'm going to go with 15 and see how that looks. That looks pretty good. I'm going to keep the settings like that. That is important for the next step. So for the next step, we are going to come down to each of these corners here, and we're going to draw a straight line going up into the shape. And these lines are going to be of varying lengths. So go to your pen tool, make sure snapping is still enabled, snap onto the corner like you can see there. Then while holding control to make sure the line is perfectly vertical, you bring up the line however long you would like it, and then right click or press enter to signify the end of the line. And we're going to do this for every one. Now once you have your 4 lines created, we are going to use the select tool and then hold shift so we can select all 4 shapes together. Now remember when I told you to keep in mind the width of the outside shape stroke? Well, it was 15 for me, and that just means I'm going to make these a 15 point stroke as well. So we come to the stroke style tab, enter 15, and as you can see, every single one of these shapes now is exactly the same width as the outside shape stroke. Now with these 4 lines, I'm going to select each one, and I'm going to open the Path Effects menu. The Path Effects menu can be found if you come to Path, scroll all the way down to where you see Path Effects. When you select this, the Path Effects window will open and will look something like this. At the moment you have not got any path effects selected, so nothing is going to show up. But with one of your lines selected, come to the little arrow that you can see right here, select it and scroll down to taper stroke, which looks a lot like that. Now what you will see that has done is tapered each of the ends of that stroke into a point. But we only want the point on one side. So if we come to our nodes tool in the top left here, select that, and as you can see we have the normal nodes, but we also have these little diamond shapes here. That diamond shape will allow you to tweak just how little or how much the stroke is going to taper. Now for this side near the top, we want it to be a long taper, just like this. And then the bottom one, we want to be completely straight. So we're going to do that. And I'm just going to repeat this process for all 4 of these lines. Once this is complete, you go to Path, Object to Path. Now do not fret if this happens. This is just because the stroke is highlighted but there is no fill color. You can remedy that by coming down to the bottom left, selecting the black fill, and then going next to it, and while holding Shift, select the X to get rid of the stroke outline. So I am just going to do this for all 4 of the lines, and then I will catch up with you at the end. And there we go. And now you can see that we've got a really good shape for the main design. Next we are going to create 2 circles for the eyes. The circles are just 2 circles that have been stretched a little bit, so they look a lot taller than they do wide. Once you have the right shape and size that you're looking for, come to the select tool, and then we can right click, duplicate, and then we can hold control while we just slide it over to the side. Then if we select both of them, we can go to Path, Union, and then move them onto the main design. And if you want to make sure that they are all completely central, then with them selected, hold Shift, select the main shape, go to your Align and Distribute menu, which can be opened up here. With last selected from the drop down, we click to move it into the center. Next, I am going to use the Polygons tool. Now as you can see, I have got the stars selected. I am going to go to where it says corners, and I'm going to type in 3. So basically we are going to get a triangle. And now if I hold control while I'm rotating and making the shape, I can also lock it on to its vertical axis, like so. When I release, there will be 2 more handles. One is going to dictate how large it is, and the second one is going to dictate how far in it goes, like so. Again, if you hold control, you can make sure that it is absolutely perfect to how you would like it to be. Then I am going to come up to where it says rounded in the properties toolbar, and I'm just going to alter it until I get a funky little shape that looks something like that. Now using the select tool, I'm going to just alter the width a little, and then I am going to select this along with the eyes, and with the Align and Distribute I'm going to center it up again. Now if I just select the mouth on its own, I can hold control, move it up until I'm happy with the placement, and then we are done. And as you can see, it's got a nice little cartoon ghost shape to it already. The final step is adding some different colours and adding shadows. So ghosts are white. I'm going to change this to completely white. Also now if we select over everything and come to our fill and stroke menu, we can turn the opacity of everything right the way up. Now finally we want to add some shadows. So the shadows are very easy, and this is why I made such a thick stroke and outline. Using the pen tool, what we are going to do is create a straight line from one side to another, and if snapping turns out to be getting in your way, then you can by all means turn it off. Now as you can see, what I have done is I have simply created angles near the bottom of each of these sections that I am outlining with my mouse right now, and that is going to become the basis for the shadows. So what I'm going to do next is we're going to select the shape that we just created that will look something like this, and then we are going to come to our nodes tool, and that will allow us to grab and manipulate all of these straight lines into a curve. Now once you have done that, we can come down to the color swatches at the bottom, and I want this to be a light grey. You just want to be able to only just distinguish between the grey shadow and the white of the ghost. So around there would look really good for me. And what we are also going to do is we're going to hold shift, come to the bottom corner and select the X, and that is going to get rid of the outline. But one last thing we need to do just before we've completed the entire image is to drop this down until it comfortably sits behind all of the strokes. And now lastly, we are going to come back to the ellipses tool. We are going to create a long circle like this, and with it selected and the select tool, we are going to select the main shape and just make sure in the align and distribute menu that it's lined up perfectly. Now we can deselect everything, select the circle we just created, hold Control and bring it right the way down. Once it is a little ways underneath the ghost, you can then tweak the size and the shape how you see fit. Around there is going to be good for me, and I'm going to come back to the fill and stroke menu, come down to the bottom where it says blur and opacity, and we're going to turn the blur up to around 20 is about good for me, and we are going to make sure it is around 50%. Now you can hardly see it on the screen at the moment, but that is simply because of the fill color. The fill color is white, well, a very light grey, and we want it to be a very dark black. And now we can alter the blur to make sure it's more of a hint than anything else. And I think, do you know what? I think it's going to look better with a blue background. A dark blue rather than a black. Just to give it that little bit more depth. And then if we just tweak with the opacity and the blur until we get something that we're happy with, like so, and you have just created your very own little ghost. If you end up creating one of these ghosts for yourself, I would really love to see them. But that's it, my friends. Until next time, thank you so much for watching. If you would like me to design something for you, then get in contact via my website. If you just like to learn yourself, then I will upload videos like this every single week. And the fastest way you can see them is by turning on the notifications and hitting subscribe. Until next time, my friends, I'm going to bid you all a fond farewell, say thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.